Sahara. My humble pronouns at the Lotus Feet of Bhagwan. Today we have a distinguished guest, Dr. Nagaraj, Swami Sahara devotee, and our family, other psychiatrists, Mrs. Nagaraj also is a psychiatrist, Nagaraj, and their two daughters. எல்லாருமே வந்து சுவாமி போல்ல இருக்கிறவங்க. ஸோ எல்டஸ்ட் டாக்டர் வந்து சுவாமி சொன்ன 11 years almost பக்தியில் இருந்தாங்க. ஸோ த எல்டஸ்ட் டாக்டர் இஸ் a surgeon, and அந்த டாக்டர் வந்து இப்போ டாக்டர் நாகராஜ் மிஸ்ஸஸ் நாகராஜோட நிறைய மெடிக்கல் கேம்ப்ஸ் எல்லாம் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஸோ டாக்டர் நாகராஜ் was sent to UK in 1978 by Swami. என்ன சொல்லி அனுப்பிச்சாருன்னா, that you are a kid, go and see the world and come back அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அனுப்பிச்சாரு. ஸோ அவர் இன்னை வரைக்கும் அவங்க யூகேல தான் இருந்திருக்கார். அண்ட் he has made speeches at UK, USA and African countries. அப்புறம் வந்து டாக்டர் நாகராஜ் வந்து சுவாமி கிட்ட நிறைய இன்டர்வியூ between 1974 to 78 நிறைய இன்டர்வியூஸ் கிடைச்சிருக்கு. ஸோ அவர் அதெல்லாம் பற்றி உங்கள்கிட்ட ஷேர் பண்ணுவார். ஸோ எஸ் ஆல் நிறைய டைம் வந்து கான்ஸ்டன்ட்லி எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் சுவாமி பிரசன்ஸ், சுவாமி டான்ஸ், சுவாமி சேன்ஸ். அவர் வந்து நீங்கள் பேச போகிற டாபிக் என்னென்னா, ஸ்பீக் அபவுட் திஸ் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் ஆஃப் அவர் குரு ஆஃப் குருஸ், அதை பற்றி பேசுவார். ஸோ ஐ வுட் நவ் ரிக்வெஸ்ட் டாக்டர் நாகராஜ் டு டேக் ஆன். சாயா.
Okay. Hello. Sahara, everybody. Can I thank people here for inviting me to share my experience with Swami. Everything happened suddenly. This trip to India, I didn't expect to talk about Swami in a meeting. So I got all the material that I normally carry when I'm going to speak. So it's all remembering and it's all remembering and making a few notes the last minute. Today is a very important day for us. As you know, we have Guru of Gurus. And there is nobody like Swami as a Guru. Nobody. Why? Because he involved every person in the society. Like singers, he made ordinary housewives and husbands into Mohammed Rafi and Lata Mangeshkar. The bhajan was phenomenal today, very good. Artists who come to him, he makes everybody a better person. I will touch on that after I talk about my experiences. My father was an air engineer and he was the operations manager, and in 1966 his plane crashed in Mount Blanc in the Alps, and my mother always thought he was alive. Because they didn't find any body, I think the weather was terrific. They couldn't land any aircraft there. No wreckage was found. Then in 69, that is 3.5 years later, my mother had a dream of somebody with so much hair coming and saying, do Satyanarayana Puja for 3 consecutive Fridays and you will get an answer. So she got up and she didn't know who this person was, because we were all devotees of Shankaracharya and all that. And somebody said it is a sadhu who lives near Bangalore. So she did what the dream said she should do. And exactly 3.5 years later, my father's body was found in arms, strapped to the seat belt. And I went to Geneva, prepared today. as you're aware, the widows do get a raw deal in India. But suddenly you had Swami's organization. So she had budgets at home, she did seva in hospital. She was feeling great. Suddenly her life was lit up, And that's what Swami has done to a lot of lives, in a lot of people. And then every time Swami came to Bombay, the devotees used to ask me to come to a medical camp, whatever. That time I was young and just passed out medicine, top of the world. And I remember the first time I saw Swami was, we were all in the school examining children, and there was a huge crowd standing outside waiting for Swami's darshan. And I was just inquisitive as to who this person is. So Swami came late, so we had finished examination. And then he came into the room and I said, Swami, what about a photograph with me? And then of course we had the first photograph with Swami. By the time I was pushed away and every doctor rushed in front of me. But that was the first acquaintance with Swami. The next day Swami called all the doctors and he said that, he spoke about science and spirituality. I wish I had taped all that. But he kept coming to me and he said, cigarette chod do, acha nahi. And then he said, why don't you, did you get a photograph? Have you got a photograph? Then he said, I'll see you tomorrow. So next day I went, as usual, the volunteers didn't allow me to go up in Dharmakshetra. I don't know how many people had gone to Dharmakshetra. And I was standing there at the medical station, and Swami came straight to me and he said, "Idhar kya karta hai? Upar jao." And that was my first interview with Swami. There on them, by projecting his hand on the wall, a different dimension where they could see how happy those people were. And of course they all fainted. So I was not ready to faint in Swami's room, so I said no. I wish I had said yes anyway. So that was the first interview where of course he gave me Shirdi Baba's ring and hugged me. And I think my shirt was full of kumkum. And I don't know where I got the kumkum. I presume it was from his forehead. My wife said, what's that with his shirt? I said, I don't know. She hugged me. I thought it was from Swami's forehead or something like that. Then we realized Swami doesn't wear a kumkum. It is materialized and come. And that really made me feel after that interview I was on the top of the world. And then 6 months later, you're back to reality. The second time was the same year. I think it's all followed 74 to 78, rapid physical contact and interviews. And my daughter was 9 months, the eldest daughter, and she was not well. She had gastroenteritis, and she had to be admitted with the drips of the strong antibiotics. Because I was a doctor, I knew the pediatricians, they were looking after her, but she was very poorly. And I have a huge photo of Swami in my drawing room, and I went and shouted at her. I said, why are you giving that diarrhea to the 9-month-old child? Give it to me, I can cope with that better. And then went, had a bath, and came back and had a dhoti from the cupboard. And suddenly a packet fell down. I picked it up, it had vibhuti wrapped up in a child's bill. So I presumed it was for my child. So I went to the nursing home, gave the vibhuti. And then the child was better. In a couple of days, she was discharged from hospital. And the following month, Swami comes straight to me And he says, you're always shouting at Swami. What they put in whatever, like a blessing, whatever is it shocks you because you don't expect shouting at the fort will reach you. Of course, not now, at that time. And I said, no, Swami, I wanted to bring her to Puttaparthi. He said, no, put it work. I've been waiting there for you. So we went off to Puttaparthi. On the way in the car, she developed diarrhea again. So I told my wife, let's go back. There's another family, we shouldn't bother them. But she said, Swami has called us, we'll go. So she said, I'm just going to give you no antibiotics. So we went to Puttaparthi and I was having a bath. Those days the rooms were very small, poorly built, slow. So from the bathroom, water can seep into the room they were lit with the luggage. And my wife has been banging at the door, shouting. I didn't hear because the force of water was so good, I was enjoying the bath. I came out and they were all mopping up. And she was saying, see how careless you are. I'm saying all this because it's very important. Because Swami constantly shows his omnipresence. So we went for darshan and Prabhu was sitting with the kid in the first row and the kid started crying and the volunteers threw her up. And she was crying because the volunteers threw her up. But Swami normally goes through one entrance, but that day he went to that entrance where she was and produced Vibhuti and blessed the child. As he said, come there and waiting for you. And of course, Swami, he said, Dr. Nalipaka, I'll see you tomorrow. So next day we went in and the first thing he said, you would have got the Krishnamela. I didn't know that. I was wondering, then I remember in the car, I said, let's go back. He told my wife, I'm Bangalore. So she was wondering, where did she? And then in the bathroom door, she was, small things he shows his omnipresence all the time. Then of course, he talked to us about everything. Again, produced the ring. As usual, he continues hugs and rings. And he told my wife, and I'm going to keep doctor with me. You all go. So I sat with him when he was interviewing other people. I think Phyllis Crystal's first interview. She had not known Baba at that time. She had just read about Swami. And I think her plane was hijacked. She shouted Baba. She had come to thank him. So, along that interview with the two parapsychologists, and I was sitting next to Swami and he kept hitting Abhi Maja Dekho. He said, these people have come to investigate me. But they are nice people. I will allow them. Swami is, when you're with him, he is like a friend. You don't feel that divinity. He's just a friend to you, as if we are talking. And how long we did. Then he told Phyllis Crystal and her husband, today is your marriage anniversary. And he produced a huge Navratna Mala, and all these parapsychologists held his hand and searched and say where it's coming from, all such. And he was laughing and hitting him. He talks in Tamil, Hindi, English, all sorts of. So, and then he married them. He put the Navratna Mala, asked the husband to put it on her, and produce a ring for him. And they were really, they were perplexed. They didn't know where all this originated from. And then he asked them to look at the ring. They had brought some ring outside with Swami's photo. And there was a hollow. So they were shocked. They said the ring was intact. The rings are all intact. but there's nothing inside. So they made everybody get up, including Swami, and search the whole room for it. And that time Swami again said, "Abhi dekha maja." And he said they are very nice people. They are trying to help humanity by understanding. So we came off after that interview. We left for Mumbai, and I read in the book, I don't know whether you read those books, Miracles are My Visiting Cards. It's a very good book, objective. It has taken all the atheists as well as Swami's experiences together. And of course, one of them, as usual, has become a close devotee of Swami after that. And in that, they were called two or 3 days later, and Swami blew in that hollow, and the photo appeared again. Then in 75, I think one of the, I forgot to tell you that while we were going to Patti, we were guards, while coming back, while coming back from Patti, it was dark and our car got punctured. And the driver didn't even have a jack. And I had all these 4 women in the car decked with jewelry, and I was really frightened. And suddenly a car stops, and somebody with Shiva thing gets down and says, "What's the problem? Where is it? Which puncture?" And he did whatever he had to do and was gone. By the time he could recollect what was happening, it's all done and gone. I thought, how Swami, because that's the only thing you can do at these instances is to pray. And when you pray to Swami, he always answers prayers. So again, following that in 75, my brother was in the Air Force. And he was flight lieutenant at that time in Hyderabad. My mom said, we haven't heard from him. Why don't you go and see what's happening? I went there and my baby was crying. He had been admitted to hospital. So I went to hospital and he was in the intensive care unit. He had what is known as ascending transverse myelitis, which is the virus infection of the spinal cord going up to the brain. So he was already on the respirator and all that. And of course, the doctor said, "You're a doctor, you know what the prognosis is. Even if he recovers, there will be residue left of whatever there." So as usual, I went around Shivam 109 times, 108 times, and then caught a bus, same night, went to Whitefield. Swami wouldn't see me that morning. At that time, for me, Swami has to call me as soon as I see him. That's how I took it, because he did. So I was a bit disappointed he didn't call me immediately. But in the evening he called me and he said, "Hey, Doctor, I went to Delhi. The deep illness, he will be all right. 4 weeks kind of put you up. 6 weeks on a duty join." Now, you won't believe it, but I said, "Swami, don't talk crap." That was the words I used, because I was thinking, how can the Air Force is very strict with the paralyzed 6 weeks of joining duty and as usual, Swami is full of love. The Swami told me, everything will be fine. And while Swami was saying that, it was 48 hours since I've seen him, and he had already moved on from the intensive care to the general ward, and I was walking with support. And of course, I did bring him 4 weeks to Swami, and then after that, he did join duty and retired as a group captain. And then he became a devotee. Ultimately, what is this bhajan zone? Suddenly he started singing bhajans. So that was a fantastic experience. Then of course there was a lot of interviews mainly about science and spirituality. And then in 76 he said, go, UK, bacha ye duniya dekh ke aao." I didn't like it. So I came back, then 78 he sent me back again. I wanted to work in hospital. Anyway, in 1980, my wife joined, 1979, and I was telling her, maybe Swami doesn't like us anymore. Some idiot thought, they're rising. And, he's probably left us. We don't go into bhajans. But she was opening a suitcase. And when she was removing things, there was a picture there with Swami's blessings. I wish I brought all this. It says, wherever you are mine. I will not give you up. Anything is one-to-one. Something. So I was happy. And then didn't think about Swami till 1984. So 4 years again, thought of Swami. I think Swami has left us. We were very busy, junior doctors and exams, moving from place to place. Actually, moving from place to place is interesting. We didn't move from place to place. But I said to my wife, I said, maybe Swami, the way I behaved, I still smoke. I haven't gone to bhajans, listening to Swami. And it's very interesting. I'll bring a photograph and show you all next time I attend bhajans. That bottom peeled off. And it said, however you are mine. I will not give you up. I didn't know you can peel, that would peel off. It just peeled off. That shows how Swami answers the questions. Of course, in the UK, there's lots of experiences. Again, I haven't got all the things I've written down, but whatever I remember. One of the best experiences was when I saw this usually. This is present for the last 2 weeks. And we had been to Barcelona recently. And I was sitting on the bus, the roofless bus, looking at the blue skies. And the last 2 years has been a bit traumatic for me. I lost my brother, his son, all that. And that's Swami, of course. And I was looking up and saying, Swami, where are you? And where's my brother? Where are all these people? Where do they go? What happens to people after they die? This was my thought. Red was sitting in the front, and suddenly the bus turned to a main street in Barcelona. And suddenly she called me and she said, look. And there was a shop with Swami's photograph saying Sai Maya. How he answers, everything is Maya. It's not there. It's there. And then I come down, get out of the bus, and there's a young Asian girl who comes running to me and says, can you read Hindi? I said, yes, I can. He said, this leaflet will explain to you what happens to people after they die. This is Swami. And one of our friends went to Barcelona after a month and they searched for the shop, they didn't find it. We went into the shop, we looked at it. The son was there, he said, father is a devotee and all of that. But, come on, I don't know, maybe they didn't look at the right place, I'm not sure. But how Swami, he is alive and he is answering every prayer. One of the things, of course, when talking about where they are, what happens to people that die. There are two instances. One instance is my wife's brother died in Minneapolis. And we had cremated him and we had just come home. It was minus 41 as usual in Minneapolis. Snow and as usual, I had this one-to-one dialogue with Swami. I said, Swami, you keep saying people come to you after they die. Give me proof. And it's interesting that I got one piece of evidence which was in my purse. And it was interesting that my wife got out of the car and suddenly she saw something fall and looked at it. Anyway, that is a very interesting thing. It is a laminated photo of Swami, which I've never seen in my life. There it is. It's a laminated. The Swami did want his photo to get wet in the snow. So he's laminated it. And it's a very interesting photograph. It's a linga with Swami inside it. I don't know whether you have seen this photograph before. But that was again an answer, that he is with me. That's what I presume. And the same thing happened with my cat. We had a cat for 18 years, old cat, and it died. We were quite attached to the cat. And again I asked Swami when we were going to the temple, Swami's temple. And a black cat exactly resembling Lucky came from Swami's statue from behind and came to my feet and lay down. He has to answer everything. You want in UK when we were attending bhajans, I was sitting in front of the photograph reading one of Jagdish's book, and they were saying Siva bhajans, and suddenly I looked up and I saw Swami walking towards me. As a psychiatrist, I always thought people do hallucinate, and when you think of Swami, you can hallucinate. But this seems very real. You can see him. And people have described seeing him, so I thought maybe it's true. But to confirm that, when I turned the page of Jagdish's book, he has written the same thing, that he saw Swami walking and he thought he shouldn't talk about it because people think he's mad. How Swami confirms that what you see is reality and not fantasy, not your own brain that's doing that. The most interesting aspect was when they were talking ill of Swami. They spoke ill of Swami in India today, there also. So I was sitting in my room studying, dictating a letter about a patient I saw in a small dictaphone. And I was so upset. I said, Swami, you do so much and people still talk ill about you. If you really Satya Swarupa, prove it. As usual, that's for Swami. And interesting enough, I was saying, I saw John, he had a brain injury and that sort of thing. And when I was rewinding and listening to it again, there was a whole song. I wish I brought that again, the tape is still there. Started off with Satyam Shivam Sundaram, Ram Tumuho, Rahim Tumuho. I don't know whether you heard that song. That whole song was in that tape. How he answered that he is Satya Swarupa. Why should he answer my prayers? But he does, whatever it is. So that was another thing. And of course, There are so many occasions where, at least four, where I have documented evidence because I asked them to write it down. One who had leukemia. She was my secretary, very nice lady. Was careful when I went to give her a letter to type. She said that was a Friday, Wednesday, she has to go for chemo. So, as usual, spontaneously what you do, you take a photograph and everybody and give it. That's what I do. Thank God the General Medical Council haven't found that out, otherwise they struck me off. but that is the power. And on Wednesday when she went for test, there was no signs of leukemia. And even after 10 years, she used to ring up and say, Raj, can you get me the white powder? It's so. There's another lady who I met at the Mental Health Act Commissioner's meeting for the first time. I was sitting with a friend and she sat down and she was crying. Again, I asked a friend why she was crying. She said on the way here to the conference she had heard that she had multiple myeloma, not multiple, sorry. What is that, pigmentation? Melanoma, sorry. This is early dementia. She had melanoma. It was virulent. Doctor said you have to come back immediately and start treatment. So I, as usual, gave you the Insomnia's photograph. And we forgot about it because she had to go. And then after 3 months, I had an email from her. Doctor, you were so kind to me. You gave me that powder and photograph. They found that that is not malignant anymore. The third one was again another secretary of mine. No, the physiotherapist. My physiotherapist was crying. I said, why? He said, my brother has terminal lung cancer. 2 weeks to live. And she was crying because he was in pain. And I said, what can you do? Ask the doctor to give more morphine and that sort of thing. That's all we can adjust. And then I sort of gave her the DVD and photograph as usual. And that person lived for 3 years following that. I don't know whether it saw me, but I presume it must be so. Because the doctors, oncologists, everybody said 2 weeks to live. And I was in the Rotary Club and we had this very arrogant Englishman who thought there's the superior race, we Indians are somewhere there. And we became friendly once he got to know. So I used to go and see him frequently. And while leaving them one day, his wife said, God, I'm going for a mastectomy. I have a serious breast. So as usual, I gave her DVD. And I met her after a month. And she said, Raj, you had come to see me in the hospital, haven't you? You sat and you patted me and all that. I didn't feel any pain. I hadn't gone to see her. She's mistaken Baba for me. Baba had come there and one moment found that she was not in pain. The surgeons were surprised that she was sitting on 24 hours after a radical mastectomy. It's very painful. And Mr. Allman said, I've never seen something like this. That is a miracle. Who is this Baba? Can I come and see him? That is his confirmation. Then, I think the last one which I want to talk about is there is a nursing home closer to our house. And I was asked to assess a person because there was a brain injury neuropsychiatrist managing difficult behaviors, and this lady tried to commit suicide, wanted to commit suicide. So I went to the nursing home, and she had subarachnoid hemorrhage. It's a hemorrhage in the brain where finding words was difficult for her. Her short-term memory was very poor. She had enormous problems to find out. It's totally dissociated with time, place, and person. She doesn't know where she is. She's constantly, and she was angry with herself because she's frustrated and locked up. So whatever you talk to her, you don't get anywhere. You should repeat what you say. And I went around the room and I saw Swami's photograph there in the room. So I came to her and I said, do you pray to Swami, Baba? She said, Baba? He's Babu. He comes here every day. He comes, sits next to me, pets me, and says, don't worry. I think if you all had interviewed Swami, one of the common things he says, don't worry, I'm in you. And she spoke as if I asked her, what dress he comes in. He comes in, I know why. Then I shouted at him, she said. I said, why did you make me like this? See, what I forgot to observe, absorb, basically, was there was a verbal diarrhea. He was repeating words for somebody who has word-finding difficulty. He was just vomiting, talking about song. I shouted, I did that. So then the brain somewhere, after we stop talking about Baba, it's gone. There is some sort of one part of the brain that opens up. And very interesting, I said, does Swami come to you in your room or does he come when you're sitting with people outside? And she said, I've asked Swami. Now I said, the background to that was, this was the second time I asked her, when I went to see her the second time. I came home and I had not written down what she had said because you least expect Swami to be visiting some nursing home 2.5 miles from your home. And I was telling her, why did Swami not come here? He came so near. That was an interesting observation. Before that, Swami has helped me and always said, I'm in you, around you, with you, all that. And I always thought that was true. And suddenly this doubt, why is he not coming? That person. So you separated him from you. And then the second time I went and asked her, does he come when you're sitting outside? And she said, I asked Swami why you don't come when I'm there. And Swami told her, it says, that they haven't called me. That was a good answer for me, isn't it? So I thought it was an indirect answer. Anyway, I think I'm more or less finished with major experiences at all. But main thing is where is Guru Purnima? And you can't, we are also fortunate that we had a chance to meet Swami personally. We heard about him, numerous books have been written about him, numerous miracles have been attributed to him. But the greatest miracle of Swami is transformation. Nobody talks about it. You go to any part of the world, you will see and you can make out that this person is Swami's devotee. How do you make that out? Anybody?
Character.
Humility. Total humility. I went to Texas, somebody came and picked up my suitcase in the house, went to some other place, anywhere, in Russia. Russian people have never seen smoke. I don't know, you heard about Dr. Upadhyay, right? So, he went to one camp in that Siberia. That is not even minus 41, that's minus 60. And he landed, it was dark. He told Swami, I'm going to the camp there. Swami said, go, I'll see you there. He didn't know what Swami meant by see you there. So he went there and they were all settling in and it was quite dark and cold. And then one of the Russians said, do you know there's a small temple here? Let's go. So he took him to a temple which was dark with lamp and all that. Then one white Russian was chanting Sanskrit mantras in that remote place. And when he did as he sort of raised the light on the top, you could see Swami's photograph. That is what Swami meant, I will be there. Because he is there. In fact, Upadhyay asked that man, who is that photograph? He said, you don't know him, he is born. That is the sort of faith and change in people. Transformation is total. People, I feel ashamed that in spite of so much miracles and personal things, those Russians are totally devoted. And I said, why don't I come to UK? He said, why do I have to waste money to UK? If I have money, I'll go to Puttaparthi. That is the sort of thing. So, he is the guru of gurus. What can you say? He has changed. He has taught doctors how to treat patients. Not to think about money. Think about love. And that really works because he put me in one of the most difficult areas of psychiatry. One was a forensic psychiatry and one is the brain injury. And when you don't have your brain, they just lash out. There's no frontal lobe in front. They can't control their impulses. And I'm pleased to say that Swami's psychiatry, SAI, worked wonders. That love can transcend any brain injury. As you've seen, this lady who, according to science, cannot speak, cannot think, cannot remember, and suddenly there's a verbal diary of everything that comes out. Swamiji has also shown us by doing things. Building a hospital in 1 year. That is how he is a guru, not only in spirituality, he is a guru for every aspect of our living. Build hospital in 1 year. He thought it was impossible, but when you get to doing it, you can, and he's proved that. And when they did it the second time in Bangalore, in Whitefield, it was quite easy for them. 1 year, nothing. They completed it early, actually. And that is what Swami does, the total transformation and faith in yourself, confidence in yourself. Remove the fear. And he has done it with pandits. He addresses and teaches them Sanskrit and pronunciations. To musicians, teaches them ragas. To common people, when you serve, he serves. And you should look at how he serves people. Has anybody seen that? How he serves people? He teaches everything by doing. He shows hospital can be built, eating should be fed with love. Everything is love. And you will never see such a guru. You will never see such a guru. You will see gurus. But Swami has transformed human beings and brought out the soul in you and told the brain to take the back seat. So if we get angry intensely, our anger reduces from 90% to 30%. I've seen Swami changing personalities. As a psychiatrist, I have a psychopath, I'll say, poor prognosis, he can't be treated. To introduce communication. This chap, Samuel Sanders, had come home to my place and he was talking about one of his patients, which he is going to present in American Psychiatric Association. And that patient was quite manic and white lady, never been to India. And when she was high, she would talk in Sanskrit. And he escaped all that. And she said, Swami comes in her dreams and says all this. So he's going to ask a psychiatrist what they make of it, of that experience. Because we are very limited to, I'm supposed to be an expert in brain and behavior. I'm not. We don't know much about the brain at all. The important thing is Swami transcends everything. He's made us much better human beings. And the simplest teaching of Swami is already there in front of you. Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. What do you require? You don't need scriptures, you don't need all. That is what he has shown all his life and was in the physical form. And we are all very fortunate to have a guru like him. Is there any questions? Anybody got any questions? No? Nothing? Okay, silent. He said he will. And I heard somebody in Europe or somewhere said he is already born. Already born? Something. Now all this will spread, rumors will spread. We just have to wait. Because 8 years Shirdi to Puttaparthi and 8 years to Premasai. And I think Swami's Leelas began when he was at school. Shirdi Baba's, of course, was much later. So I presume Premasai would be much earlier than Satya Sai. Because wish fulfilling tree and all that sort of stuff. But I think we should consider ourselves very lucky. Often I wonder what would life have been without Swami. And that is very frightening. He has taught us how to cope with losses. The main thing is, he has taught us to handle pain and pleasure in an equal way. You don't get very excited if you're happy. You don't get very depressed if you're sad. Because when you say Swami is silent, all that disappears. Because he is there. He is there. Today he was there. Today he is there. When you sang the second song, the Guru thing, when Swami sang, that was his first song. You remember? And he was there. You could feel. So you call for him. Like me, shout at the photograph, he might come and talk to you. But he's there. Right.
Sahara. Today evening we are all blessed, and I need only Guru Purnima to have a guest like Dr. Nagaraj and to share his memorable experiences. Adri particular Swami UKல இருந்தப்ப எப்படி அவரோட இதெல்லாம் பதில் சொன்னாங்க பார்க்குறப்ப சுவாமி எப்பவும் கூடவே இருக்காருன்றதுக்கு இதை விட ஒரு ப்ரூஃப் வேணும் இல்லை. நல்ல ஒரே திங் we have to have a strong belief, and Swami will நிறைய பேரை ட்ரான்ஸ்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணியிருக்கார். ஸோ அந்த ஃபோல்டுலேருந்து போகாதிக்கு இன்னும் யார் யார் சுவாமி பற்றி தெரியாதவங்க இருக்காங்களோ ப்ளீஸ் bring them to our fold. That's the most important thing what we have to do. இதில் என்னென்னா சாய் மிஷன் நம்ம போய் இப்போ எல்லா இடத்துலையும் போய் நம்ம வந்து சொல்லணும், சாய் என்னெல்லாம் பண்ணியிருக்காருன்னு தெரியாதவங்களுக்கு. அப்போ தான் வந்து they will come to our fold and they will know about Baba and Baba's vision. So I thank Dr. Nagaraj for the scintillating experiences shared with us, and I would request him to visit Sai Sahara once again whenever he is in India. So thanks once again, and a token of love and affection, I would request Dr. Sudharajan to give a small memento. Sahara.